YouTube! It is BookTubeAthon, which is something that I've only recently found out about, but am very excited about. If you don't know what it is, it's this book challenge that's sort of like NaNoWriMo but for reading, but like way more intense because it's all crammed into a single week. Basically, booktubers across YouTube are attempting to read 7 books that fit an array of challenges that you have to complete, and it's crazy and it's fun, and I'll be doing daily update videos on this channel right here if you want to follow along. It's gonna be great. So for this video, I want to give you guys my TBR, my to-be-read list, the things that I am reading for this year's BookTubeAthon. The first book that I'm reading is The Selection by Kira Cass. This book fulfills the requirement of reading something that someone else picked out for you. My friend Mallory told me to read this book, so boom, counted. The second book I'm reading is The Elite by Kira Cass. This is the second book in the Selection series. It's also a book that has red on the cover, which is another one of the challenges. The third book that I'm reading for BookTubeAthon is The One by Kira Cass. This is the third book in the Selection series, thus fulfilling the requirement to start and finish a series. Next, I will be reading The Giver by Lois Lowry. Not only is it a nice little book, which will be nice after reading these big Selection books, but it is going to be turned into a movie next month. One of the requirements is to read a book that has been adapted into a movie. I found out later that you're actually technically supposed to also watch the movie during BookTubeAthon, which I can't do because The Giver's not out yet, but too late. I'm just going to somewhat fail that challenge, but still read this and then go see The Giver as soon as it comes out. I've also read this book before. I read it back in middle school, I believe, but I loved it and I wanted to read it again to refresh myself before the movie comes out, so yes. The Giver. Next up, I'm reading The Merciless by Danielle Vega. I'm excited to read this book because it fulfills the requirement to read a book in a genre that you've read the least of this year. This book is a horror novel, which I've read 0 of this year, so that works. After that, I'll be reading Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This is volume 1 of Saga. This also is a book that has pictures, which is one of the challenges. The final challenge of the BookTubeAthon is to read 7 books. I am kind of a slow reader, and so I'm a little nervous about getting through all these books in 1 week, but I'm doing okay, actually. I'm already about halfway into the Selection, and it's only like 1:30 as I'm filming this, so I'm feeling really good. But just in case, I decided to go a little easy on myself. My 7th book is Rat Queens, another graphic novel. It's kind of small, but I've also been really wanting to read more comic books this year, and so this is a good chance to, you know, 5 books and 2 comic books seems like a good split for BookTubeAthon. So if I can read all of these books, in 7 days, I will come out victorious for BookTubeAthon 2014. So part of BookTubeAthon is also doing these daily video updates, and each of the videos have a challenge. The one today is pretty easy. All we have to do is talk about the 3 books that we were most influenced to read by BookTube. I am really new to BookTube, not gonna lie. Haven't actually watched that many BookTube videos yet, aside from the things I've been watching for the last couple of weeks, so I actually haven't read most of the books that I've heard about in BookTube videos. So I'm gonna go back a little further into my YouTube history and show you guys the first book that I read by someone who recommended a book on their YouTube channel. That book is Looking for Alaska, and it was recommended to me by Rosianna, Miss X Rojas. She actually just had it listed as one of her favorite books on her YouTube channel back when that was a thing that you could list on your YouTube channel. This I was interested to read because I was already watching Vlogbrothers and didn't actually know that John wrote books, and this definitely started my foray into reading YA again. This was one of the first books that I read after my long slump of only reading Harry Potter fan fiction, so I have a lot to thank from Rosianna and from this book because it got me back into reading in a much bigger way. Then like a year or so later, I think John Green mentioned that Uglies by Scott Westerfeld was a good book. Again, this isn't really BookTube, but I think that John Green's probably an honorary member of BookTube because he recommends books all the time. He recommended this one. I read it. I loved it. I love the whole series, and it's one of my favorite books. And for the third book that I was most influenced to read by BookTube, I'm gonna cheat and say The Selection by Kira Cass because I probably would never have picked these books up, but they fulfilled so many of the BookTubeAthon requirements that I just decided to go for it, and now I'm loving it. So that's my BookTubeAthon update. Let me know if you are also participating in this readathon. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you're currently reading. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about today. I'm gonna stop talking now because I need to go back to reading this book. It's gonna be a crazy week. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye!